Welcome to Allegedly Higher, where humor, insight, and passion collide with higher education. Hosted by Dr. Erin and Dr. Candace. Join them as they dive into headlines, interview leaders, and challenge norms. From dismantling systems to championing equity, this podcast is your go-to for transforming the ivory tower. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Allegedly Higher, episode 4. I can't believe we got here, but here we are, episode 4.
And we have people watching. So fun. It's fun.
I know. If you're new here, thank you for joining us. If you're returning, we thank you too. But this is the podcast where we dissect issues in higher education with a human-centered lens and a pop culture flair. I am your host, Dr. Erin. And I have my lovely co-host, Dr. Candace Jackson, and we are your guide to this maze of academia, the scary maze sometimes of academia. Dr. Jackson, how are you?
I'm doing well today. Yes, I'm doing well today. Today. This is a good day. So that's how I'm doing.
Well, I'm glad you're doing well today. Today is Thursday that we're recording.
Yes.
Any highlights from your week?
Well, I got through my Civic Club's annual luncheon. We had a great speaker, Pamela Samuels-Young. That's a plug for her work, mystery novelist. Absolutely amazing talk. And y'all, if you look her up, you're like, I know that woman is not as old as she says she is. Like, when I tell you that melanin is holding it together, and I was like, 60s where? Like, okay. So I got through that. And so that was fun. So I've been going for the last couple of weeks. So and this weekend I'm headed off to my grandson's prom. So his senior prom. So we're gonna You remember when he was like a little boy.
A little boy, yes.
A little boy. And now he is a senior, and we're going to go see him off to the prom, I guess. Yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Well, so good. Yeah, Dr. Jackson is the epitome of a Southern socialite.
Yes, ma'am.
I love hearing about all of her societies and civic engagements. And
listen, with this time with a white fascinator and white gloves. It was lovely.
You didn't send me that picture.
I will not. Will not. So I almost got triggered with the fascinator for Derby vibes. But yeah, it was but it was lovely. It was absolutely lovely. So, and we were able to give out like 6 scholarships. So we're really excited about that.
Oh, good. Well, yesterday we did an official launch of the podcast. We had been recording, holding them back. And so we finally launched it, but we did a soft launch with some of our favorite higher ed former employees all in a group chat. Yes. And it just really warmed my heart because I had all of them in mind when we were forming this podcast. And we said, hey, listen, give us your feedback, subscribe, rate. And I think I started that group chat at like 4, maybe earlier, like 2. Yeah, and it's still going on this morning.
Well, and that's one of the things, even in the toxicity of where we were, right? That the people that I met in Kentucky were really good people. A lot of them were not, but the ones that I connected with were good people. And I think that they were the lights of, especially your crew. Like I'll tell you all the time, I wanted to come work for y'all. But like those, they were, they could call me. Whoever's on that group chat could call me at any time, and I got you. Now some of them others. To the moon, Alice, to the moon. But yeah, it really was. It really felt good just to even connect and catch up, even in with them was fun. So
Yeah. The crazy thing is that I'm working on a presentation for Baton Rouge Area Chamber. They do this Young Professional Summit, and this is my second time doing it. It's super fun, and because I love up and coming. I love professionals, but I love to groom aspiring leaders. And I'm doing this year. I'm doing a presentation called "The Best Boss Ever Blueprint," and
okay.
and as I'm like working on the content, this group chat is going on, but some of the people in that chat like really gave me the validation I needed as a leader.
Yeah.
And then one, I know they've told me this the first time I've heard it was, "Hey, you're the best boss I ever had," and it wasn't coming from somebody who just started working.
Career.
Came from the ones who had multiple bosses
Yeah.
and have retired a couple of times. And so it was just like the juxtaposition of that I thought was really, really great. And yeah, yesterday was a good day. Yesterday was a good day.
It was. I was having a few health challenges, but that really kind of perked me up a little bit to keep going. But I will say this: I hope you're including yourself as one of the best bosses ever.
Oh yeah, that's where I got it from.
Yeah.
That's
So
I was like somebody said it to me
include
and it
yourself.
struck me. Yeah.
Because I have to tell the audience that when someone comes to you and says, "I've worked in education for 25 years, and Dr. Wheeler is the best boss, and the only time I felt valued," like that has never strayed. That someone who has retired in education and coming back and says that, I've never forgotten that moment. So I always want to keep that in the forefront, and I'm glad that you're doing that because I want you to have that in the forefront of your mind, that you made people feel valued in a space where people are being, suppressed all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kudos to you. Kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll tell y'all how the presentation went on the
Of
next
course.
episode. So let's move to outside. We outside.
Okay. We outside.
Well, when I wrote up my list of hot topics of what's going on my timeline and feed, last episode, we said the city girls and city boys was fighting. The actual city girls had made up. Some of the city boys made up, but now there's more city boys fighting.
Who's fighting now?
Rick Ross and Drake. Is there anybody else? I think it's mainly Rick Ross and Drake this week. It's about plastic surgery, new noses, going back to the old pictures when Rick Ross was a security guard.
Listen,
Rick Ross calling Drake real white for having his mama in his phone as mom. Is this more diss tracks? I don't know. I just scroll. I get the gist of it because I'm so glad Biggie and Tupac, Nas and Jay-Z didn't have social media back then.
Oh my God, it would have been terrible.
It would have been.
So all I can hear is this. All I can hear is an article entitled "The CO and the Canadian." Like I'm not. What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Literally? What are y'all? Are record sales dipping? Is the music business dipping to the point that you all are creating beef where there shouldn't be any?
Yeah. And it's rich, it's like rich digs. Oh, Drake, I heard you flying around in them faulty planes, and I like it.
I don't understand. I don't understand.
You got a new nose. This ain't your same nose. Like it sounds so. Maybe I shouldn't say city boys. Maybe I should say real blank hip hop.
I would venture to say, I can't say that. You know, stuff I used to be able to say you can't say, because it's not appropriate. But
yeah.
I want you. Y'all dust yourselves off and go play. Just what I would tell you if you were two toddlers on the playground fighting. Dust yourselves off and go play. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. We have so many other things to talk about that, and then for you all to be so tone deaf that you flying private on a faulty jet, like, sir, the people who are paying $80 to come see y'all.
$80. That's now, Candace, you show your age.
I am.
Somebody said they just paid $150 to go see Nelly. So, Drake tickets, right? Right. Oh yeah! Congratulations to Nelly and Ashanti on their engagement and their baby that we already knew about. But yay!
I mean, for those of us who remember the breakup and all of that, we are so excited and elated for them. But who y'all kidding? Who are y'all kidding? But okay, I'm just glad she was able to have that.
Nelly rushed that stage at what was the pandemic where they paired people against each other? I ain't had no coffee today. You remember when he beeline when they had the it was the Timberland and Swiss Beat music competition versus.
Yeah.
Yes, you remember when Nelly beeline, like he didn't see her for a long time, and he did that "Hey big head, how you doing?" beeline across the stage. That's what started it all.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Shout out to Timberland and Swiss Beats for kicking that off. She looked very disgusted, but we be faking sometimes.
Like,
okay. God, hey, how you doing? How you
and
doing?
Squirt, like,
yeah.
Yeah. But now he's singing Jodeci, so you're having my baby. But I mean, I think when we start doing this, I mean, we're really doing music and your images a disservice, right?
Yeah.
We talking about rich people beef, like.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I ain't really been on Drake since the whole he inserted himself in the Meg Thee Stallion tour lanes, and I'm like, you a real.
But wait a minute. But here's the thing: if you're gonna have beef with Drake, Ricky, if you're gonna have beef with Drake, I want it to be real. Like, have beef with him based on what he has said about in this era. Like, where were you all to say, Drake, you out of line? But we talking about planes and
nobody, no male stood up for Meg, and I was taking a list of names.
And so when no one does, don't get on her track, because she gonna eat every last one of y'all.
Oh yeah.
So okay. Yeah.
If you listen, give me some tickets to the Hot Girl Summer Tour. I'm not gonna buy my own money, but I'd love to be there.
No, at this point, I'm on my bucket list to make sure I see everybody I need to see before.
Babyface is in Vegas.
Ooh.
I know. Add that to the list.
Where's Anita? All right, so I'm not gonna be petty. I'm gonna
take Sarah out of this. Sarah out of this.
All right.
So while the boys are fighting, the girls, we getting titles, we getting drafted, and still underpaid.
Okay, that part. All right. So, the championship March Madness is over. We're well into April. Now we've got the WNBA draft, and it's probably the most engaged this country and the world has been to the end of WNBA, right? Because of these high profile players. So this is our first generation of player that's had all the camps, they've had all the special practices, all the training, and just great ball players, right? Angel Reese, the entire South Carolina team. And then there is Caitlin Clark of Iowa. And so I'm just okay because I'm in my legalized being black era today. I just want y'all to see the shirt. I was disheartened by the fact that the national championship was about who lost as opposed to the team that won. Dawn Staley has done an exceptional job, not only in her coaching ability. Now, we all know that she was a powerhouse on the court, but her coaching, she is leading and coaching women. And so that's very, that's a even with the dust up that they had right before the championship and all of that, but still leading women to be women and to be good people. And so it became about, oh, she didn't lose, and so all of these endorsement deals. Well, she's not the only one with endorsement deals. But I think we need to really look at how we have framed and how we focus on that particular story. And not enough has been said about Staley and her team. Not enough. I mean, not even the name recognition that for me is enough.
It wasn't.
And so
shouting out God in her speech than the undefeated season. It wasn't just you won a championship; you was undefeated.
And one of the historic, like, is it the 10th team to have done that? It was right. So out of history, like you're and it's focusing on this and that she went first in the draft, because there are a lot of players in various sports who do very well, no championship, and y'all still promote, you still elevate. And I've heard that Caitlin Clark is going to be the Michael Jordan of the WNBA. Michael Jordan had a championship. Michael Jordan, my fellow Tar Heel, had a championship before he went. Okay, I'm just saying. So I think when we talk about systemic racism in this country, it's the subtleties that tear you down. It's the subtleties of racism are almost more insidious than if you just came up and called me out of my name. Because suddenly, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would add sexism on top of that.
Yes. Oh, so parts for at the reporter, the awkward exchange, and
it was even the way. Yeah, even the way the commentators talk, like, these are young women. They are still, even though they're making more money than all of us, they're still young people. And the way that Emmanuel Ocho went after Angel Reese.
Oh, yeah.
And, I was like, that is disgusting. One, you see men cry all the time, talk trash on the court, and then go cry on the side, go cry in the car.
Right.
And the way he just I'm like, y'all not even being the least bit sensitive to the fact that they are still evolving in front of cameras. Thank God that we didn't have cameras shown in our face. Us evolving in college.
No receipts. Right.
None. Well, I had a little bit. It's deep down my timeline on Facebook. Because we was the first class on Facebook, but it's so but it's just the overall sexism, and then the slap in the face is when we see the salaries, when they could have stayed. They made more money with their NIL deals in college.
Exactly. I think that's it's going to bear it out. And with this incoming WNBA class, I think we're going to have a lot. They're going to see a lot more of these women athletes um, as athletes as opposed to women athletes, right? So we create
Yeah.
these hierarchies and these markers. But when he did that, what you have to understand, and I have personal experience with this, that you have to recognize what is 22. Now, she's legal. She can drink, she can vote, she can do all those things. At 22, we would still consider that's a baby. You mess with somebody, you mess with a baby. Not that she is not a fully adult woman, it's just there was no sensitivity, just as you said. But you look and think about what you were doing at 22. Because if at 22 I thought I had it all together, I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought, yeah, I'm grown, I'm adult, I'm off the ground. You're, as you said, you're still evolving. And for anybody to pick on any college player, they're going to make mistakes. They should have emotion. If she did not have emotion and she acted as if that didn't bother her, that losing that game didn't matter, then y'all will have something to say about, oh, she's not emotional because she's making all this money with the NIL deals and she knows she's going. That meant something to her. That was a moment for her. So,
And actually, I think he was relating to when she was crying when Fly J spoke up for her in the press conference. You went through one of the toughest moments of your life on camera. You
right.
get back, you trying to hold your composure, and your sister, your teammate, like saying, get off my sis. How you supposed? I've been bawling too. I was crying listening to her. Like
it's
like
the toxicity.
that's the way you hold people down.
It's the toxicity of of a system. Because we've seen this before, right? Y'all want them to be teammates, but y'all don't want them to talk. You don't want to. We've been there before. You want them to jail on the court and not really love and care for them as human beings outside of the room. That you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. No. And it really goes back at how we treat people. I mean, I use sports as a metaphor all the time, even in my classes, because it's how we treat people, how we work together, how Dean Smith taught. If you watch a UNC Tar Heel during the Dean Smith era, if they got the basket, they always pointed to the assist, to acknowledge that I got the basket, but you helped me get there. So you would always see Jordan pointing. You'd see Tar Heels across the league. If they pointed at the assist person, they got there from Dean Smith, because they were supposed to be a family outside of that. Yeah. So yes, you trying to hold in your composure, and someone gives you your sister of the last 4 years, who you're going to be in separate places now. You got a lot to contend. You got a lot to contend with, and to just, this is where he messed up. I could agree with him on a lot of things, but this is definitely one where he missed. He dropped the ball on this.
Yeah, he's definitely. I put him over on the side with Drake. Like I was rocking with you. I was really rocking with all his conversation until
so
slide him over there.
Go pick on Jontay Porter and the lifetime ban of the NBA. Go pick on him.
Yes, tell us what happens when you bet against yourself. Never bet against yourself. That's the lesson here. Definitely don't do it while you playing.
You shaving points, and then you throwing games, like, for real. Listen, let me tell you something. Sports fans, leagues, they can forgive a lot of things. Hell, they forgave murder. They'll forgive armed robbery, assault, sexual assault. They'll forgive a lot of things, but gambling against the team that you own, oh yeah, you're never coming back from that. And so they have issued Jontay Porter a lifetime ban. And
Who else has been banned for a lifetime in the
not from the
NBA?
NBA. They've never done it. So the NBA, no, I don't think they've ever done it. But Pete Rose, in baseball, back in the what, late 80s, early 90s, I can't remember when, but they still hate him. They hate Pete Rose. Is there, like, they hate Pete Rose like they hate OJ. Like, you're never they never coming back from that. He's never even, and he wasn't even betting, I think, on his own team. You're just betting. And so it
I hope
tainted.
he got some of that money left.
Child, I don't know what he doing. Probably, I hope he had a good retirement. That's always why you should save your money. But this young man,
Hey,
again,
but if you ban, do you still get your, like, they got pension?
I hope he had a private 401k. I hope so.
How about you bet on the stock market? How about you trade some stocks? That's betting.
But
you needed that risk and some extra dividends.
But this goes, and everything goes back to how we educate, right? It goes back to student athletes, and sometimes even before they get to the college level, that we pampered and pampered them so long all the time. Oh, they play so well. Oh, well, you don't want to take that class, baby. You come sit in the principal's office. So all of that. So then when they get to there's and then they're in a generation of no accountability, right?
Yeah, we rob them of autonomy,
right?
And actually being held accountable for your actions. We rob them.
So he is indicative and representative of what faculty members across the country are now experiencing with, can you give me some grace? I know I have a 6, but is there any way I can pass this class? And these are real conversations from real faculty members. Okay. So he is part and parcel of what we have done throughout education, so that by the time you're in college, or depending on what college you go to or what faculty member you have, they don't care if you play sports or not, because they expect more out of you if that's what you choose to do. And now he has a lifetime ban. Where are you gonna play? He going over there, across the water?
Can you? I guess.
Now here's the thing: you go over there and act a fool, and bet and see what happens.
Yeah.
That'd be your last flight in the air.
I don't even think high schools would trust them to coach their teams at this point.
No, because I can't trust you. I can't trust your integrity. But see, and that's what makes great coaches like Dean Smith and Don Staley, and dare I say whatever happens off the court, but Phil Jackson. What were you trying to teach them beyond? Right? Beyond. You like?
I'm trying to keep the pristine Phil Jackson. I love that man. I can't think of. I can't see the feel of the documentary.
Right.
And
now, but there are certain things. But even a Pat Riley, right? Because let me say this, and I've always wanted to say this publicly. No one made NBA coaching look good like Pat Riley. Okay.
Yeah.
Armani suits, and even now when I see basketball coaches like in a hoodie, or like, wait a, you make way too much money not to come up in an Armani suit. Like, don't give me no tracksuit.
You're not playing on the court no more. There's no reason for comfort.
Right. Like, I want you need to be in a suit because you coming to work, right? You met anyway. So but there was something about that. Nobody's going to allow you near their children unless you do a complete mea culpa. Like, you got to go through something. And he's at 22, 23. Again, why didn't you come for this little boy?
Yeah.
Come for this little boy.
Hard.
Leave and understand when I say this. Leave that baby alone. She did what she was supposed to do. she was to she did everything she could and everything she's supposed to. Go get that child. Y'all
Yeah.
go rally around him and show him how he messed up. So, yeah, that's my we outside moment. It was all about athletes today. So,
Well, let's come back inside.
okay.
In our unstudent center news, we haven't done this segment, but we saved it for this time because we got a lot of unstudent center news. Let's go with a story that we didn't get a chance to cover last week. Washington University is where St. Louis, Washington U. The Black students are protesting after alleged racist incidents in the dining hall, and the racist incident was carried out by none other than, let me see if I can find. I don't want to shout out the wrong sororities. Kappa Sigma fraternity.
That just sounds like
I got to find the balance of saying being local.
It does not sound like it's gonna end well. I'm just gonna tell you that
it's not the good, clean Christian white Southern root. This is our heritage fraternity and Alpha Pi, which I guess everybody's different every campus. Alpha Pi sorority chapters. So they one day they decide to go into the dining hall and egg the dining hall and say certain phrases towards the minority, mainly Black workers in the cafeteria. This took place on March 21st.
What? Wait a minute. Wait, go back.
Which part?
They took eggs.
Yeah.
And
which are like $5 a cart.
I mean, for real, right? That should tell you something. They took eggs and hurled racial epithets and eggs at the Black workers in the dining hall of WashU. Is that what you're saying to me?
Yeah. You want to know what they said?
What did they say?
Well, that actually didn't say anything, but the Divine Nine fraternities, this is how I actually came across this story on Watch the Yard. Shout out to Watch the Yard.
I love them.
Sponsor us.
Yes, please. Please.
So the Alphas actually spoke out, and they're the first ones to actually come out with a statement. We will not stand for the public humiliation of hardworking African American students and staff at Washington University or any academic institutions. We will not allow our communities to succumb to the continuation of anti-Black culture that has been perpetuated throughout our country's history. The last that I read of this story, they were suspended. Both the white fraternity and sorority were suspended, which they're gonna come back and do this again because they do it on every campus. I can't speak for. Let me not speak for Alpha Pi. I don't know. But them Kappa Sigmas, yeah. I mean, they bake when they say they bake that into they rituals and they all of they fraternity stuff. So, good luck. Good luck with that.
You know, but that leads into our entire conversation that you're going to have about diversity, equity, and inclusion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the world has said that Black, brown people do not matter. And so don't think that your children are not watching. And so when you say we're not racist, everyone should be included, and we think that that's exclusionary, and you do all of that, they're watching, they're reading between the lines because they know what you're saying at home. And so when they take it out in the streets, don't be embarrassed. Because this is what they're going to do. And this is what's going to happen. Yep. This is not going to be the first time.
No, but my thing is that just get ready for a whole lot of discrimination. I wish Ben Crump will open up a separate practice for all. I don't care if it's frivolous. I don't care if it's a microaggression or whatever. get ready for the onslaught of this, because you're saying that you're rolling back DEI because you don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable. Well, my God, I feel uncomfortable. He said that I should change my hairstyle. Lawsuit. This is
Right.
not about to happen. You take
But
away all the training.
right. We're
There's
taking
no
away
courses
training, we're
anymore.
taking away education, we're taking, so what is ultimately going to have to happen is that clearly local communities are limited sometimes in their thinking, right? So
Yeah.
we have to really think about this federally, as we did in the 50s and 60s, that it has to be a federal mandate for some of these things, because if you leave it up to locals, it's not going to happen. I remember Governor William Winter came to Tougaloo College to speak at commencement. And William Winter was a very progressive governor, beloved. He passed a couple years ago. Beloved by the people because he was liberal, but he was also fair. So everything in terms of race and reconciliation in the state of Mississippi under his reign is still continuing. But he said something so powerful. He said, "I want to tell you that we thank God for Tougaloo. Shout out to my alma mater, because Tougaloo saved us from ourselves."
Mm.
So you think about that in the fight there, that where we're going is that someone on the federal level at this point will have to save us from ourselves.
Yeah.
Because that right there is going to continue to happen, whether it's a fraternity incident. So right now they can say, oh, that's a fraternity incident. That's going to
This
be
is
an
supposed to just be boys.
right. That's going to
This
be
is
an
just a prank.
institutional problem,
It's just a prank.
because those boys will become boys who are in hiring managers, or who are going to take, oh, I got suspended or I got expelled and had to start over, but I've made it to my Fortune 500 company and I'm not hiring any X, Y, and Z. I'm not doing,
Mm-hmm.
I'm running for office. Like, then those are the people who become politicians. If it's not done on a federal level, if DEI is not done on a federal level, who's going to save us from ourselves?
Yeah. And two things. The article also says a similar incident happened about 10 years ago. So there's a repeat. And two, I've always thought that especially when you dig up Karens and Katies and Kians,
Mm-hmm.
and Twitter blasts them and put all that information and say, well, she works here and she went to school here. Are the universities not embarrassed?
No.
This is one of our this is one of our students and they're acting a complete behind. Are we
Right.
not embarrassed? Like, I don't think you are, but at least try to keep your name out of headlines associated with this. At least try. You can do it behind the scenes, but at least try to keep your name out the headlines by
No,
telling the students a little, or say, hey, we did have a course about that. We did tell them that discrimination was wrong, and here are all the little ways you can discriminate and what not to do. I
but
would just be embarrassed.
they don't, no, they're not embarrassed, because as long as the discrimination isn't going toward them, they're good. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But
Mm-hmm.
Paul Mooney used to. I love Paul Mooney. Shout out, God rest his soul. He used to have this joke. He said, if I tell you, if a man comes to another man and says, "Man, my wife is cheating on me," the man he told that to is gonna be like, "Oh man, I hate to hear that," but it's not gonna mean anything. But if he said, "Man, your wife is cheating on you," that's a whole nother conversation. It's the same thing. Same thing.
So moving on, quickly, there's not much to say about this, but in the same vein, Duke University ends all black full ride scholarships in the wake of DEI and affirmative action being rolled back. Um, I mean, ain't much to say here.
I got something to say. Listen, as a graduate of the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, for my graduate degree, Um, I have been to the Duke campus. Looks like Hogwarts. It's beautiful, Gothic. Love it. Y'all stop sending your students and your children to places that don't want them really. Again, if you want a homogenous student body, just say that.
But yeah,
Just say that.
yeah.
If you only want, be honest. If you only want African Americans on your football and your basketball teams, just say that. If you only want brown students in your research labs, just say that. And let's be done with it. Let's just be, I'm sorry.
Duke is state, right? Duke is no. Duke is
Private.
private. Okay, that's what was throwing me off because guess what? In place of the scholarship program, the Office of University Scholars and Fellows is partnering with the Mary Lou Williams Center for Black Culture. Because I'm like, if they were state, they couldn't have the Center for Black Culture because that would be abolished, right? And they're instead of a scholarship, they're going to establish a Reginaldo Howard Leadership Program. The program will be open to all undergrad students, regardless of race, and will not include a competitive selection process. And it was only 15, they only gave 15 awards. But my thing is, if you private,
yeah, you can do whatever you want. But you're private under conservative. So UNC Chapel Hill would be considered liberal. They have a center and a really thriving Black student union, as well as the Sonia Haynes Center. I give to that small bit every day just to do something. But so I'm wondering if that's going to be on the chopping block for the state of North Carolina. But as a private institution, I do believe Duke can do what it wants to do. But understand this, that North Carolina is very split in its voting. So locally, usually with educational issues, they vote Democratic, but federally they vote Republican.
Okay.
So you might have a Democratic, well, you used to have maybe a Democratic governor, but then they would all go for Republican, which lets me know that they know what side their bread is buttered on for real. I think that's going to be problematic across the country because who's going to decide merit for those students? Who's going to be able to read through the real stories and understand background and cultural differences and that you need those varying stories? If everyone in my class all rides private jets, what am I really learning about the world, right? If everyone looks like me, comes from the same background, we're just reinforcing our own biases and prejudices and everything else. You have to have something.
Yeah. And see, the crazy thing is, just say me and you were going to school and they change it, like the language is going to shift towards, oh, we're focusing on need-based, low-income, first-gen students. You would, there would be no help for you because you're not first-gen and you wasn't low income,
right?
So you would look like, but that's what they're going to start substituting for. Diversity,
right? So economic diversity, right. I remember that, like even being a high school senior, and I really wanted to go to Georgetown. Really wanted to go to Georgetown. Had my interview. I think I told you this. Had my interview, and they sent the financial aid package. I was valedictorian with a 4.2 GPA. They gave me $5,000, and part of that was work study. Who, like, and here's the thing. Between work, but at the time, Georgetown cost $26,000 a year. They expected my parents to come up off of $21,000. It wasn't gonna happen. So I went all the way. I went right down the street, 500 West County Line Road, and I've never looked back. And it was the best decision for me, period, bar
Yeah.
none. However, the idea, I am not first gen. I have first gen problems, but I was not, it was not first gen. But this expectation, so I still wouldn't have really, I wouldn't have gotten in.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't have been able, I wouldn't have been able to make the cut.
Yeah. Well, our last news story, especially in unstudent center news,
Mhm.
um, USD. I'm gonna let you take
So
this
USC
away.
valedictorian, the valedictorian that should be never was, has had her invitation to serve as valedictorian of the graduating class of University of Southern California. And Asna, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. Asna Tabassum, I think is that. I hope I'm doing that well. Please forgive me if I don't, because she was named valedictorian, and she's done some pro Palestine social media posts and some Jewish organizations on campus um, lobbied against. And so her invitation to speak at commencement has been rescinded due to security concerns by the institution.
Quote. Look. Quote.
Quote, security,
Secure.
security. Yeah. And so, and on the flip, at another institution at Hobart and William Smith colleges, Jody Dean was asked not to publish an essay um, about favoring Palestine, and was asked to um, take a little break this semester. Um, so we're at a very tenuous place in higher ed.
So let's go back
Yeah.
and make sure people are getting this. This has nothing to do with her valedictorian speech.
Right. It was her social media post. So
So they didn't know she was going to speak to that before. I would give them a little bit of the doubt if they had read
right,
it and be like, nah,
right. So it
we want you
is.
to focus on something else.
So here's from NBC News. Those dreams were crushed when USC Provost Andrew Guzman rescinded her invitation to speak at graduation, citing security concerns over tensions related to, quote, the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. So she had they came up, two pro-Israel and Jewish groups complained, talking about her social media activity, including, quote, her Instagram account, which links to a slideshow encouraging people to, quote, learn about what's happening in Palestine and how to help. I
Hmm.
Whatever the side of it that you're on, um, this is happening. This conflict that is coming in our higher ed space. This same article talks about how University of California Berkeley professor confronted a Muslim student during a dinner for graduating law students. Um, you know, we, students are being suspended for their protesting. Columbia in New York, liberal New York. Several students were suspended this month after they hosted an unsanctioned event on campus featuring a speaker linked to a terrorist organization. Um, they have berated the former valedictorian Tabassum on social media. This is, this is going to get really ugly really quickly. There are issues of freedom of speech. There are issues of freedom of religion. There are issues of academic freedom with faculty members who believe one way or the other. What's problematic for me in this moment is, and we talked a little about last time about what boards are supposed to do, what presidents are supposed to do. about navigating this kind of quagmire. And I think what USC has done um, is to not take a stand for the freedoms that higher ed are supposed to protect. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Like
Yeah.
if we're not having these discussions in higher ed spaces, where are we supposed to have them? And this student who has earned the right and the respect of her colleagues and peers to speak as valedictorian and have that honor was taken away because of something she said online, and the presumption that there's going to be a security issue.
I want a note in this article. First year, Donica Gonzalez, who supports uh, Asna, she believes the university is using security as a pretext. She pointed out last year commencement. This is totally true. Which former President Barack Obama and his wife Michelle attended their daughter Sasha's graduation.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way the university can't protect her. They're just choosing not to. That's out of the mouths of the babes.
Right.
I agree. Like, you gotta have security with period at a university graduation of this size.
Right.
You can say, okay, the first family had some secret service, but not that much. Not as much as when they was in the White House. So
Right.
don't do that. Like, this is and my brain goes to thinking the logistics of leadership and conversation and problem solving. Like,
Mm-hmm.
did y'all even think about other options? Or y'all just went straight for the panic, that crisis panic. We can't do it, just cancel it. Did you
Right.
even have any kind of discourse or discussion about this? Pros and cons and other ways to not take away this because of of what she actually wants students to be. Every university has our mission is to develop civic minded global leaders. But now we are generating students. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear.
Right.
Stuttering sadly. Anytime
Exactly.
anytime we hear something that goes against our beliefs,
Right.
and that's why we call this podcast Allegedly Higher, because we're doing everything opposite of what our mission is supposed to be. We
Right.
say we want critical thinking, but yet we can't, to use a phrase that our boss had said before, is these people can't think their way of a paper bag. Probably say the same thing about this one, but
Right.
there's no critical thinking here. Like,
No.
is there no way that there's facilitated conversation? Like, y'all are just running scared. At
Right.
universities and academia is supposed to be a place where
We have
people
these
can
conversations. Yeah.
have conversations, facilitation, improving listening, empathy, sensitivity. All of this is where it should be happening before they get out into the world, to show, hey, I might have a colleague of a different race and that's
Ethnicity.
race, ethnicity, couldn't
Yeah.
get it out, religion, but I
Yeah.
should be able to work with them, learn about what they do, not judge them. But that
Mhm.
doesn't happen automatically because we're not doing it.
Right.
We should be doing this in a higher institution setting where it's safe.
Mhm.
There's some learning that takes place around it. There's some, okay, wait, are you, what you're about to say, are you
Mhm.
taking into consideration for this or that? Are you really listening to this person? Are you really learning about this? Or are you, for you, the English professor, where are
Mhm.
your sources coming from? Are you using a wide variety of sources? Are they reliable? Are they valid? Are you getting a diverse source and perspective and opinions? That's what we should be doing in our English departments. Instead of writing BS papers on BS
What
things,
is
it
it?
should be
Right.
communication and discussions, and then you go in and you can present yourself in writing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, we're failing
Part of
all the
the hard
things.
part is teaching what we try to do, and what I have always tried to do. If I can get them to think, the writing does come easier, because if they don't know how
Yeah.
to, they don't know how to capture that, they don't know how to defend themselves. And so what remains at issue then is that leadership decided to rescind as opposed to protect.
Yeah.
And and went on this, okay, oh, this might be a problem. We have to welcome issues and small crises in higher ed in order to be able to deal with the big ones. And this didn't even have to be a crisis. Now, what I probably would have done, again, if you see my tagline, I am a fugitive from administration, um, was to have a conversation with her, and then let's go over your speech,
Mm-hmm.
and then be prepared, right? Be prepared, because you don't want to tell someone not to um, express themselves in that speech. But here's the thing, this is what we need to do. I understand that you want to say this X, Y, and Z. Make this not about a
She may not
political,
even have went
and she
there.
may not have. But even if you thought she was, I would have, now what we did was
I
make
knew
them
you was going there.
practice. Yeah, we're
I
gonna
knew
make
you.
them practice. I need you to read this. We're gonna, teach them. Smile, don't be dry. This is commencement. You're happy. Ha ha ha. But don't bow to pressure. It really, these are the moments where our students stop believing in us,
Yeah.
because we don't have the grapes to stand and say, this is our valedictorian. She's earned this right.
They're raisins.
Right. We don't, she has earned this, right? Exactly.
Oh my God. I think she's biomedical engineering, minoring in anti-genocide. Like you're taking this away. You're trying to say you're protecting me, but if I'm willing to take the risk and say what I have to say and earn what I'm supposed to, and do what I have earned, like
Exactly.
the marketing department would have could have, I'm thinking about the statement, though I'm not even a marketing communication person, but I'm thinking about the statement that the marketing could have spun. Of course, somebody called me the spin doctor. Could have spun to make this, hey, we believe in academic freedom. We've taken all security precautions. We want to use this opportunity to showcase um, um, one, freedom of speech, diversity of ideas and thoughts, compassion, empathy, shedding a light where there has not been none shed in the
Right.
news. We want to
Exactly.
support
Exactly.
our students. We've had, after this conversation, if there is some whatever going on after, we're going to have a safe space with a facilitated with a expert facilitator to host a panel or a dialogue where students can get out their grievances and talk on both sides. Like, that could have been the way that could win, but they just pulled the plug.
They put, because of their own fears and biases. But we're talking about the University of Southern California. You think you don't have a wait list? Somebody gonna get mad? You're not
Hello.
gonna make your target quarters? Like, if we were talking about a small institution in survival mode, even HPC, right? In survival mode, and every student really truly matters to the budget, right? They all matter. We want every student matters, but to the budget. Like, I may not be able to pay somebody if I don't have this, if I don't get these enrollment numbers up. USC does not have that problem. You're in the most liberal state in the entire union.
And you would have just got more liberal students and parents to sign up. You might have lost a little bit on a conservative,
But right
independent.
now, I'm feeling not so much that interested in what's happening at USC, because we're talking about freedom of speech, religion, the press, but you don't even know what she had in that speech. and you didn't give her the opportunity, even if she spoke about it politically from that podium, even if she had, to make sure that it was done with fidelity, right? Because we have to allow our students, that's the point where you showcase. We've taught them to be critical, empathetic, global learners. This, her major, biomedical engineering.
She could have talked about that. She could have talked about the lack of clean water. She could have talked about the lack of cancer research. She could have talked. It was her major one, and she already had a platform for herself outside. She might have didn't even feel the need to bring that into her speech and make a mark if she was
She might
making
talk about her
tides
mama
on
and
her
grandma.
own.
She could have talked about her grandmama's hands. But you don't know, because everybody talk about their grandma. Everybody got a poem about their grandmama's hands. Okay, everybody.
Yeah.
So she could have done anything, but you didn't give her the opportunity, and therefore you have not given your institution an opportunity to really engage and be on the cutting edge of this. And so when we as administrators, again, I'm a fugitive, when we do not allow ourselves the uncomfortable spaces, we're not teaching our students. We're sending our students out in the world, and they don't know how to negotiate the uncomfortable spaces either.
Yep.
Because
and this is the way that we could have pushed the envelope. This is one of those things where you keep pushing and pushing till we start to evolve, but we keep being rubber band back to the past.
Exactly. I mean, it just, again, we are now in a world where on various occasions that I am now agreeing philosophically with two people I thought that I never would. But I'm enjoying them so. I just never thought it because it's a generational shift. But right now, Labusi and Plies are like high on my list. But Plies made some very good point in his latest TikTok. We're in a country now where the leading candidate for president is on trial for fraud and integrity and stealing votes and election. That's a candidate. And how did we? And he says this. He said,
viable. It's the thing. Viable.
How did we get here?
We've always been there.
And so we got here because
of the country. We've always been here. Mediocre.
Yeah, you're right. But that's how we got here. Because if we don't have, if the ivory tower doesn't come down, and if they don't give into the fear of, oh, I got to protect my good job, instead of doing what you're supposed, you don't have to worry about a job if you do what you're supposed to do. And
or you're gonna get fired anyway because the board got a wild hair. Either way, or somebody gonna find a line in your research paper that says you plagiarized, and you're gonna be gone anyway.
There's nothing you can do. So the one thing I can always do is protect the students that I am in charge of, and they should have. I would venture to say, and I will say this on camera, I would have protected that student instead of.
So the other thing they could have done, they could have pre-recorded her valedictorian speech. I'm thinking about middle of the road solutions. Pre-recorded her thing and posted on USC's channel to at least let her voice be heard. If the security concerns were real, because you can't protect her once she leaves out the door. She already has a target on her back because of what she's saying on her personal platform. Can't protect her forever. You just don't want the liability to happen on your terms.
And you don't want to have to answer questions in the media. You don't want to have to deal with it on Fox News. You don't want to have to deal with it on this. And so now you're going to have to deal with the fact that you didn't. And it doesn't make USC viable or an institution. It's someone who wants to encourage free thinking, wants to encourage critical thought to attend. When we had, so my alma mater's graduations are always outside. open space. It's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Tougaloo in springtime. But we had Bill Clinton in 2002. We had snipers.
Mm-hmm.
We had snipers in the chapel on the steeple because we're out in the open. Um, of course, if anything, because they're trained for that. If you got Barack Obama and out of a USC graduate at that time, last last year,
Last year. Last year.
last year, you couldn't protect this baby and her family. And I mean that in the most motherly administrative way, right? You couldn't protect this baby because you didn't want to. You didn't want the hassle, but this is the hassle you're going to get.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be hassle either way.
But
choose it.
It's all organic to you ending diversity, equity, and inclusion ideas. It's all organic to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's all organic. And so, yeah. Okay.
Well, let's see. We're working on our time, ladies and gentlemen.
I know. We get
because our regular conversations are usually 2 hours. As
I know. Yeah. We're working on it.
So this is something that we actually pushed back, but I think I can take like 5 minutes. It ain't much to say other than right. So ain't much to say. This is just to enlighten you. So the Chronicle of Higher Ed, I guess this can actually be in because you don't have the time or money to read the Chronicle. This and DI News are combined in 2 segments. I am constantly reviewing their DEI tracker, which they did a really great job. It's an interactive piece on their website where everybody's tracking DEI legislation. So I'm gonna do a summary. So 82 pieces have been introduced. 13 have final legislative approval. 12 have become law. 13 have been tabled, failed, or vetoed. So you can probably guess the states where it's been signed into law. This should be like a quiz show. You want to take a guess?
Let's see. Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona, Florida.
Okay, you close. So signed into law, Alabama, Florida, Texas. We got the southern states. And then you have the people who have the audacity, like they got a whole lot of minorities in their states. Sorry if I offended anybody in these states. I'm sorry. So sorry. Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, North Dakota. You got them. Indiana, North Carolina. You do have some colored folk there.
Right.
But these middle ones, Utah.
Listen. You know, I went
Wyoming,
to my
North Dakota. Wedding. You just tried it. Like you really.
I went to my cousin's wedding in Salt Lake City in Utah, and so I think we increased the population of blacks in Utah
by one NBA young boy. I mean, he in jail. So today,
what the hell is he doing in Utah?
He left Baton Rouge. Because he was getting in so much trouble and they looking for him, and so he went to the Western States to hide out. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And he was visited. I really was trying to give credit to the Mormons for trying to save him, but he was saved for like 2 weeks, and then he went back.
But yeah, so, I see that. Okay.
So there's in my notes I have tried it. I really have tried it. They tried it. Oregon tried it. Right. Montana tried it. Iowa tried it. Our great states tried it. Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Georgia. They tried it. You were right. They tried it, but they ain't make it. So what does this mean? Signed into law. This means that they are banning DI offices and staff. They're banning mandatory DI training. They're banning diversity statements, which I have a little personal thing with before, because I think it was just a costume piece. Like if you gotta say we equitable, don't say you equitable and make people put it if you treating everybody else like trash, right?
Right.
So I don't care about diversity statements. I really thought it was a piece. I think Charlamagne may have gotten in trouble for saying that last week on his Daily Show. Um, and they also got rid of uh, preferences for hiring and admissions, race-based preferences for hiring and admissions, and this in real life is happening in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Texas about 3 weeks ago. I think it was our first podcast because we didn't get a chance to do it. UT Austin. So at the top of this, especially Louisiana, they tried to like skirt around it, right? So um, offices of equity and inclusion got turned into belonging and engagement, right?
Oh, love it.
um, um, LGBTQ centers got turned into women's centers. But even that wasn't enough for Texas. So UT Austin fired 60 people who had already gone into those new roles and new centers. They abolished the LGBTQ center. Um, they might have abolished the women's center too. So I think they turned it, and then Texas like that's not good enough. We said get rid of it, all of it. And so they even fired people who they were already in different positions. So 60 people lost their jobs all in one fell swoop in a day. And of course, most of it black and brown people who were fighting the good fight under those roles. See, nothing.
Listen, you know, as an HBCU graduate, um, and who also went to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, go Tar Heels.
Mm-hmm.
I would look out I would go to the football. I went to one or two football games, and I look around and I go, what would my alma mater have done? What would they have done with all? What would she have done with all of this money and excess? Because we went there and they already had like pom poms placed on the seats. Just something simple, something simple. And there are a few of us, walking around, very liberal institution in that way. Still had programs though, because some of the descendants of the slaves who built the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, still work there on the custodial staff. If that, like I said earlier in this broadcast, if you don't want black and brown people at your institution, you don't even have to do all that. Just say so.
Just say so. Just say so.
And here's the thing, but don't come looking for my grandson to play at your school.
Yeah.
Because what we're not going to do,
that would really shift a lot of things, but I don't see it happening because we still have self-interest.
Yeah, we still have
self-interest in mind. Yeah.
And there's always the one, right? They're always, and that's important. And I get that. But I just don't know if I had a child going to college and this is happening in those states, and I'm sending my black child, my brown child, my melanated baby to somebody's institution away from me and out of my embrace, I want to be able to trust that they're going to be physically safe.
Yeah.
And emotionally and psychologically safe. These states are harming their students, both black, brown, and white, because you're taking away the opportunity for real emotional and psychological growth.
And
It just goes back to what Douglas says, and I'll be through. Douglas says in his narrative of life of Frederick Douglass, an American slave written by himself. I like to say the whole title. That slavery was as injurious to his master's wife, who had no knowledge really of how dehumanizing slavery was until her husband told her, as it was to him, because he saw her move from this angelic, welcoming face who taught him the basics of his alphabet to becoming worse and more oppressive in what he did to her, both inside and out. This is what you're doing this is what these states are doing. It is going to prove more injurious or just as injurious to y'all than it is to us.
And even adding a bit of research for people who want the research. Tinto, Tinto. I'm going back to my dissertation, higher ed research. The retention research shows time at the time that community is important. They didn't say what, but there's various aspects of community. And because I wear this Black skin every day, that community is important. We're not saying all Black people, we're not a monolith, but it's still important that I have a place to go for each part of my identity. And when they have those, especially first year, they can find those. They have the confidence to step into other communities. But once you start taking that away, your retention is going to drop because the students are not engaged because they don't have a sense of community. I went to a PWI undergrad, and if it wasn't for the diversity office there, I would not have be the person that I was today. And I wouldn't. We gain our confidence there. We were given a platform to lead, and ultimately we led student government. We led the homecoming court, which the alumni had an issue with because they said the homecoming court was too Black. Yeah.
I love it. Well,
we've been fighting, but we earned it because we were on campus and we reached everybody. Right? We just couldn't. We couldn't win by just having a Black vote, right? We had to have some people of other races support us in that, but the alumni didn't see it. But if you lose this community around any pieces, but especially gender, sexual identity, we even put into practice one year where, and we were at a HBCU, we even did small communities around, Black kids who were comic nerds and kids who like to, students who like to cook and students who like to do hair and students who like we did those mini communities. And we had faculty and staff pair so they can see themselves. Oh, there's adult Trekkies. Yes, there are. We still love it. Yes, you led the Trekkie learning community. Which they were like, wait, our provost likes this, and Mr. I won't call his name out, but Mr. So and so, he writes and illustrates comics. Yes. But y'all can do all of this, but I really want to see what those retention rates look like. And not the big one, not the big one that you post on the website. I need disaggregated data. I need how many Black, Brown, Asian, am I missing somebody? Students. I need to see how well they come in and how well they graduate. And if they're low income first gen, I need the spectrum. But y'all gonna put that one big piece in there, and that's gonna be a lie. But try not to be ugly. I hope y'all lose all the money. I hope y'all lose it. I hope y'all lose it. And y'all not gonna get $1 off of my Black or brown kid.
Exactly. So I go back to this needs to be straight. It's gonna have to. The federal government is gonna have to step in and save us from ourselves. I can't in that way, because if it doesn't come down as the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, we are still trying to register. We are still paying poll taxes. So at this point, there's going to have to be federal legislation and an act that will solidify this. If we are still amending and approving the amendment of approving the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, we've got a problem. Now we don't want to deal with it, right? And so that seeps into higher ed. It seeps into the workforce and the children we're creating. It to go out in the world and be adults and self-sufficient. And that's why you get somebody who think they're supposed to shave points and point shave and what you do. Like it's all organic.
Yeah.
What we do, right? And that's the part that people don't really seem to understand. That legislation is going to affect us in 20 years.
Yeah.
And they couldn't deal with DEI for 4 years, but we did it for 400. You couldn't deal with feeling uncomfortable for 4 years.
And it's really not even the students. Now you got some students who like ready to get in politics and echo what their parents been telling them.
Yeah.
Students don't care. It's really the parents pushing this. The white students don't care there's a Black Cultural Center. You rule this whole university. You rule the whole university. You got students like this is yours. We just want this little room here so we can know who's for us. And we can get a little bit of confidence, security for a little bit. But the students don't really care. They don't care. The LGBT students got this center over here. I may not go over there, but they don't care. The students don't care, which they should, about having, caring and having empathy for their peers to go different places. But these students so involved in their own life, they don't care. They really don't. It's the parents who say, well, not knowing good and well that you got the money, but yes, sir, you're middle class and you can't afford it. Just say so.
Right.
It's the parents that's pushing the narrative that, well, these 15 students are getting a scholarship at Duke, taking away a scholarship from my kid. Your kid got a C and he can barely read. Sir, sit down.
I mean, it's
not even that much. The diversity. I've been saying that diversity, DEI, the real DEI, they never put no money behind it. And there's an article, I think I wrote down the fact that most of the money they're taking away and rebudgeting is not even $100,000. You might pay $100,000, $150 to your chief diversity officer, but on the books they only got $10,000 in programming money. What are we gonna do with that? We ain't taking no money. There was no money taken out of nobody's mouths and nobody budget. And the tax is not even paying for it. Like, quit the lies. Like, this is all a farce.
And it's all politically motivated. Like we see it. We see it coming. And just like with Tennessee, you mad that your diversity numbers at UT Knoxville are going down, and you call President Glenda Glover in to ask her about enrollment? You weren't worried about
at the same time. You trying to push legislation to take away diversity. It makes sense to me.
Because what they want is essentially
they want the body and the money.
That's it. And they want you, as they told LeBron James, to shut up and dribble. That's what they want. They want they want the bodies, they want the money, they want the appearance of, that's one of my students called. They want the appearance.
Oh, she gonna call him back. I promise you.
No, her paper due at 3:00.
Oh, okay.
So hey, this is real life. But they want our Pell Grant money. They want your, they want the check. They want all of that. They want the appearance of. They want to put them on the brochure. see, look, we have this diverse student body. When they put all 7 black kids up there, and then,
the same black kids on page 1, 2, and 3. My sister was one.
see. I mean, I remember interviewing for a job at an institution in Alabama, PWI, and I looked at the stats, and 7%. They had 7% black population out of like 26,000 kids.
Yeah, they're not gonna miss those students. They really don't care if
Well,
you
they
graduate.
miss them because they were all on the football team.
Oh, well, yeah.
Pretty much.
But even sometimes, once you redshirted, and we'll have that retention conversation, is that
Yeah.
once you redshirted, you didn't lock them into this athletic world. They lost. They can't go back into Gen Pop.
Exactly. Oh my
They
God.
have no identity.
That's a whole nother episode.
There's a whole retention. Where are the holes in your retention is the topic for that episode. But yeah, they don't care in this, but in most cases, they're not gonna care whether the students leave or go, as long as we get at least 1 or 2 years of your money, maybe even semester,
Right.
you can go. But we gonna care about the rest of the 80% of it. We gonna make sure they graduate. We're gonna make it comfortable for them to graduate, but then we gonna say get it out the mud like you've been getting. And oh well, you're not culture. This is not a culture fit for you. And we're gonna hear they're hearing that in higher education. They definitely gonna hear it in the career field. This is not a cultural fit for you because you don't fit with us. Go sit over there at that table.
As if we are keeping students out of school in secondary ed in Texas over his locks, and we have the Crown Act, like it's again, how do we get here? Because he's protected federally, and you are breaking the law, and you're keeping him out of school because you want him to cut his hair. That's not even in your purview. That's his right to have. I mean, we're talking about hair. We're talking about hair.
It's not violent.
We're talking about a good kid who wants to.
It's not a threat.
You talking about his hair? I mean, this is where we have to really look at. Again, it all becomes what happens at that legislative level affects what happens in those higher ed spaces. And then we've got to deal with that. And then you wonder what happened to the children, or what happened to this this generation and this generation. This is what's happening to this generation.
Yeah.
It's going to start there with the laws that you make against having a diverse population, whatever that diversity is. It's not always racial. It's not always, there's several levels to that. But you have changed the narrative to make it all about race. And even if it is, the hell, you need. Okay. Then you got your children throwing eggs, and then you want to pretend to be embarrassed, but they've been raised and reared in those spaces where that black body means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, because they're comfortable. We're trying to get them uncomfortable. Maybe they won't do, but these are students who are quite comfortable, and that's where you want them. That's what happens when you get comfortable, and there's no guardrails. So,
well, come roll up in Dr. Jackson class and see what happens.
You've had that incident. We'll share with them next time. When you
come roll up. Pull up.
Somebody has an issue with you teaching Black literature at an HBCU.
Baby, listen. They told my chair that I have this in one of my comments, and I'll let y'all go with that. I've been around rednecks all my life, and Dr. Jackson is the most racist person I've ever met, and I'm really not. But that history was getting them. That history, that was just that. Me showing the episodes of Roots, they took them too fast. It just, baby, real talk, they just couldn't take it. And that
like David playing the harp for Saul, just couldn't. The spirit was vexed.
And I was just like this. Play your violins, baby. Play your violins. I'm not. You gonna get this work. That's I got that from battle rapper Loaded Lux. You gonna get this work when you come.
You gonna get this work.
You gonna get this work. All right.
Well, we are at time, and we want to thank you for joining Allegedly
Yes.
Higher on this episode. Continue to push the mark and evolve your campus. If you need a safe space to come, we're always here talking about the things that probably won't get talked about on your campus. So you're always welcome. Leave us a comment. If you're on Spotify, you can always leave us some feedback. If you're on YouTube, leave us a comment, like, and subscribe. We're trying to do big things with this podcast. We're trying to get some good money sponsorship. So we need your support if you would
Yes.
if you'd like to continue to see this kind of content. But yeah, thank you. Next time we're going to talk about presidential competencies. We're going to come prepared for that. We want to, if we were to run a real search firm, not our sham search firm that we proposed last time, but a real one. We want to talk about what are the new presidential competencies that should be valued in candidates. And then Dr. Jackson will have a little rant about spring fever and student complaints. Come back next time for episode 5 to catch all that good content. And we'll continue to update you what's going on the streets and what's going on in the Ivory Tower. But until next time, like, share, send this to a colleague. Let's get our numbers up. We want to hit at least 100 subscribers in the next month. So continue to share, like. I know sometimes we don't like and I'm guilty of it. We look at it, say that's good, and we don't hit that like button. That like button is super important, but also the subscribe button so you'll know when we're dropping episodes, so you don't want to miss it. But thank you so much. Follow us on Instagram. We're trying to get those numbers up too. So follow us on Instagram, Allegedly Higher. We're on YouTube. We may put out additional content there. Follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Allegedly Higher. And then you can look at our bio if you want to follow us individually on LinkedIn and see what we're up to, both personally and professionally. But thank you all for joining. Dr. Jackson, you have a good day. Call that baby back and tell her she still got to turn her paper. Okay. I know. No take backsies. You gotta turn this in today. But thank you so much. Until next time, keep thriving. See you later. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye, y'all.
Thanks for listening. This episode was sponsored by Holistic Higher Ed Solutions, committed to enhancing student success. From coaching to planning, our practitioners empower institutions. Ready to transform? Visit holisticheredsolutions.com and let's revolutionize higher ed together. Be sure to subscribe, review, and join us next time.